how we perceive our sexuality, but one of the things that we have, I guess, lost, been trained out of, forgot, however you want to look at it, in our current society is we quit bringing sacredness into everyday experiences. We forgot how to make experiences sacred. And as a result, our life has really lost a lot of its kind of like its juice, right? It's like, it's not real fulfilling, you know, because when we make acts sacred and beautiful, and we fully engage our sensuous nature in creating certain types of experiences, they are just incredibly fulfilling. And I think nowadays that's one of the issues or the problems that we have is people don't feel alive. They don't feel fulfilled. They don't feel excited. They've lost their passionate feeling, right? That intensity that it's all about just real positive euphoric emotions that that we bring into experiences to make them like amazing experiences, as opposed to just kind of like, you know, run-of-the-mill, wham, bam, thank you, ma'am type experiences, which I think America is like plagued with sexual issues. But we have to stop and say, okay, what is it that makes experiences sacred? Okay, what do we mean when we say sacred sexuality, sacred love, sacred anything? And if we look at anything that's like considered a sacred site, a sacred temple, a sacred place, we can clearly say, okay, what makes a place sacred, if you understand anything at all about energy, is that whatever energy, quality, practice is conducted in that space most often is what kind of like infuses it or programs it with a certain quality of energy that makes it, you know, that has like a higher vibration, you might say, that makes it sacred. And with that, if that's the only thing that's practiced in there, right, you don't allow counteracting type energies to come in and practice stuff in the space, because that defiles it, it corrupts it, so to speak. So you want to make sure that only certain types of practices are practiced in certain spaces, or a certain quality of emotional presence is brought into experiences, and that is what makes them sacred. Okay, so if we're talking about the sexual union, the sexual love-making between, you know, a man and a woman, we have to really appreciate or be able to understand the power of association. Okay, because this is the other thing that we do in our life that we've kind of been just kind of trained into, and we just kind of mindlessly fall into it without even really realizing what we're doing, is we don't understand how to make different rooms of our house perfectly suited for certain types of activities, and we don't understand that a room serves as a trigger, or when we associate an act to a space, okay, that space becomes programmed in the mind with that memory, and what that means is that when we simply walk into that room, it acts as a trigger to trigger that state, because that's what we practice in that room, okay? And unfortunately, certainly in American society, I'm not sure about other ones, but in American society, we have, you know, if you don't have a special room in the house that's set aside just for lovemaking, then you need to make it your bedroom. And if your bedroom is the room that you're going to make sacred for the act of you know, lovemaking and sexual union and that type of stuff, then it needs to be, that needs to be primarily the main activity that you engage in that room, outside of course sleeping and, you know, getting up, maybe dressing, that type of stuff. But you do not want to put a TV in there. You do not want to engage in mundane, routine activities in the bedroom, because that now brings a different quality of energy into the room and kind of infuses it with that behavior. So when you walk into the room, nothing really happens, right? And you also don't want to, if you can help it, some things we just do, and there we are. But you want to make sure that you don't fight in the bedroom, or whatever room that you're going to have for lovemaking. You want it to be infused with constant positive emotions, and you don't want to bring the negativity or the hostility, that kind of like antagonistic, hostile thing into it that typically takes place when we fight, right? So, and you want to kind of keep the fighting if you do fight. I mean, you want to keep it to certain parts of the house so that it doesn't taint. It doesn't taint the other rooms. But anyway, and you create a sacred space, and that means that you intentionally create this space. That's what it means. And you create it kind of like a little love nest, okay? And you say, okay, if I'm setting up this room with the specific intentions that this is going to be our sacred temple of love, I love that term, how would I do it, right? What do I want to put in it? What do I want? How do I want to create it? What elements am I going to add to it that are pertinent to creating that type of experience? And, you certainly want a comfortable bed, sheets or blankets or pillows or whatever that feel nice on the skin. So they're either, silky or fuzzy or something, but so that you're able to, certainly lay on them and stuff completely naked and have it feel good to your body. Everything about the room or about the area, you want to have a very sensuous quality to it, because this is the part of you you're wanting to really bring out and accentuate, is that part of you that's very sensuous, sexy, passionate, and that promotes real euphoric type emotions. And of course you want subdued lighting, perhaps candlelight, but you want a soft glow to the room as opposed to blaring lights or that kind of like romantic ambiance, and maybe light incense or potpourri to bring the smell, the fragrance to the room. And and you want to set aside appropriate time frames for making love, because the other thing that we have a tendency to do, and I'm not quite sure where that came from. Maybe it came from the idea that we're not supposed to like sex, I don't know. But we also have a tendency to hurry, right? I mean, we're like quick. We're like, we can have sex in 10 minutes. Some people can have it in 2. I mean, but you want to set aside an appropriate time frame, probably at least a couple of hours, for the experience, because you do not want to rush it. You want to just totally engross yourself in it and totally become just immersed in the pleasure, the physical experience of making love, of union, of all the stuff that's happening in your body when it's going on, as well as the emotions that you're experiencing, the intense connection that you're having with the person. But you want to take your time and make it a creative experience in terms of intentionally create a beautiful experience with how you're using your hands, how you're stroking the body, how you're using your mouth or your tongue, and certainly the eye-to-eye connection, the intimacy that's being acted out the whole time. And as you're in the process of making love, you want to elicit what we call the witnessing faculty of the mind. And this is the part of the mind that I don't want to say is above it watching it, but it's like it's not in the experience. It's kind of like just right outside of the experience, and it's watching it, and it's like taking in all the details of the experience from a sensory perception. So it's having the full sensory, but it's like watching it. And this is the part of the mind that creates a memory of it that can be used to elicit that state automatically just based on activating the memory or the witnessing faculty of the mind to kind of recreate that feeling. But we can kind of get into that a little bit more later. But and the other thing you want to kind of keep in mind, difference between men and women, and I'm not saying that, I don't try not to take stuff to an extreme, okay? I'm just trying to say basic differences between men and women is that women are very erotic. Women, our whole body is a stimulating organ, okay? Men typically have one area, and that's their genital area, that's very sexually stimulated, and they like the rest, the touching and the caressing and the squeezing and the licking and the kissing, that type of stuff. They certainly enjoy that. But for a woman, everything is a turn on. Everything is, if it's touched properly, squeezed with just the right pressure. Our whole body is very erotic, sexual, sensuous, and we need to be able to move in order to, because women build up to orgasm, whereas men can go right there, right? Men can have like just an immediate stimulus and wham, have an orgasm. Women, we have our moments, don't get me wrong, but women for the most part aren't this way. We have to be stimulated fully, and then we build and build and build into an orgasm. And movement in the sexual act quickens the orgasm. So probably one of the better ways to make love is for the woman to be on top, because then the woman has total freedom and can move as well as control the angle of stuff, which is very important. But if a man is on top and he's one that's doing all the movement and she's pinned to the bed, you got to keep in mind that most men are bigger than women. So if a man's on top of a woman, she can't move, right? And not to mention that it imitates, okay, I don't know if I should say this, it imitates a violent act. When a man is on top of a woman, she can't move, and she's, having sex, okay? But anyway, so if the man is on the bottom, he's not moving that much, so his orgasm is going to build slower. If the woman's on the top, she has complete freedom to move, which means that she's going to build into her orgasm probably at a similar rate to him, certainly, because the ultimate goal is to have an orgasm at the same time, okay? And because when that happens, it's like that's what creates the blending, merging, expanding type experiences when they both do it together. And if there's the other thing is that it's very easy for a woman to maintain eye contact with a man. Eye contact's very good when the woman's on top, as well as the fact that, her breasts are open and available, so there can still be stimulation while, they're kind of in the process of making love. There can still be full body stimulation by the man. But, and then if they maintain that intimacy through the whole thing, that is just an incredible experience to have, especially when it's been, like the act of Tantra focuses on you build, hold, build, hold, build, hold. And this creates an intensity of the experience of the sexual union. Instead of just, go, pew, and it's gone, right? This builds an intensity so that when you do finally have an orgasm, it's just amazing. And it lasts for a long period of time, so to speak. And the other thing that we have to keep in mind, we don't have to, but we should keep in mind, if you understand natural law and you understand that for every peak there's a valley, and for every positive there's a negative, that life flows in a pulsating motion, you realize that after the initial orgasm, You know, most people come down and maybe they sit with each other or stay in each other for a little bit, and then they pull out and you know, curl up, cuddle up, go to bed, whatever, go to sleep. But is to realize that we actually have a second orgasm. And if we stay connected, if the man stays inside of the woman and they just kind of relax into each other, and stay connected as far as like the eye contact, the intimacy, the bonding experience that they just went through with the heightened orgasm, so to speak, they have another low grade, what we might call a low grade orgasm, that is very emotional, very soft, very it's like the one that instead of going out like this, it goes and it just brings a total release to the body, as well as it's an incredible experience for the bonding effect between the couple, because it has a different feel to it. But anyway, so keep that in mind. But this is how we keep the sexual act sacred. We keep it special. We keep it beautiful, right? And if we set up parts of our house as with keeping in mind that whatever we perform in that room, whatever behavior we tend to do, what things we do in that room determines how it becomes an automatic trigger, or how we associate energy, feelings, emotions to that room. Because as soon as you walk into a room, it triggers a state of mind. It triggers a mood, a feeling based on what you associate to that room. So if we keep this in mind and we allot proper time, we get totally involved in it, we don't rush, and we embrace our creative ability and our sensuousness as we're having the experience, it brings the sacred into sexuality. That's what sacred sexuality means, is we are making it an incredible experience as opposed to just a mundane 4 times a week type thing that we do before we go to bed when we're really tired, and you know what I mean? We do it in 10 minutes because we're really tired and we have to get up and go to work in the morning. When we have that kind of an attitude, who knows what happens in a relationship, let alone how we experience our own sexual nature. But by going about it different, taking a different attitude, and bringing a sense of awareness and consciousness to your everyday life, and intentionally creating experiences as well as setting up sacred areas, spaces in your house. If we learn how to do this, it just brings the beauty back into life. It brings the erotic quality that's very, it's very pleasing. It's very pleasurable, and it's ultimately, it feeds the soul with exactly what it needs, right? And you feel content, and you feel bonded and connected and intimate, and the person becomes special, and the experience is special, and it's something that you really look forward to. Instead of making up excuses why you don't want to do it, right? So, it's like anything in life. It's all in how we go about it. It's all of the attitude that we bring to life determines what it's like for us. So if we bring an attitude of creativity, beauty, eroticness, sensuality, profoundness, and we want to keep really deep, meaningful experiences, then that's what we have. So just learn how to embrace your creativity in different ways, and it'll completely change your life. And I guarantee you it's going to change your life for the better. So, and not to even mention